afternoon, good morning, and good evening, dear listeners. Welcome to the next episode of Lyrics.That.Matter, the podcast where me and my friend Moreno talk about different rap albums and how they contribute to the world with their amazing music as well as their lyrics, because we at Lyrics.That.Matter believe that any album with any song can show meaning. Now, unfortunately, me and Moreno had to have a little scheduling conflict where Moreno had actually broken his LED screen on his laptop and he's unable to use his laptop as of currently. So, in this episode, it'll just be me. So, we'll be talking about a rap album that Moreno himself, he also didn't suggest to do just because of the album being extremely profane. But I believe uh, as the founder of this podcast that any album can be reviewed and can contribute some meaning into the world. Today's rap album we'll be talking about is Straight Outta Compton, which is a album that is made by the rap group NWA. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Uh, we'll give the introduction to NWA as well as the background behind Straight Outta Compton after the intro section. But right now, we're going to listen to Straight Outta Compton, and then we'll move. On. So, we decided to cut the transitions. So, if you guys hear this pause, that means that me and Moreno are going to be listening to the song that we've mentioned before. So, we're going to listen to Straight Outta Compton right now. Thank you, everyone. So, let's start. So, I just finished listening to Straight Outta Compton, the first song in the album of the same name, Straight Outta Compton. So, before we get into the analysis, let's start by talking about the artist, the artist group. NWA is a abbreviated term for the N slur with attitudes. NWA was an American hip-hop group that was formed in Compton, California in 1987. And they are among the most earliest and significant rap groups or figures of the gangsta rap subgenre. Well, the subgenre of rap. And this group is widely considered as one of the greatest and most influential groups in hip-hop music. Straight Outta Compton was released on January 25, 1989 as the debut album for NWA. It was released through Priority and Ruthless Records, and it was produced by the NWA members, Arabian Prince, Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, Ice Cube, DJ Yella, and MC Ren. Me personally, I don't know much of the members here except for three, which are Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, and Ice Cube. But all I know is that this group is greatly influential for gangster rap subgenre, but also redefining or defining the identity of black people. As at the time of this album's release, black people were still seen as this lower race, even though slavery was abolished in the 1800s, which I don't know why I brought that up. But my point being is that black people were still seen as a inferior race. So Straight Outta Compton was really a counter to that way of belief. So, let's just start. Straight Outta Compton, it's a declaration of identity. That's what I have gotten from this song. This is definitely a radical anthem of resistance. The artists assert their right to exist. The artists, Ice Cube, Eazy, and the rest. It's a scream against police oppression, institutional neglect, and societal blindness to this systemic racism. Of course, there's going to be racism here. Straight Outta Compton, crazy MFer named Ice Cube from the gangs called NWA. And these bold lines, like, the most prominent thing that you're going to see in this album, these songs, is the influx of very profane slurs and swear words, which me and Reno are unfortunately not really unfortunately, well, fortunately are unable to say. because this podcast will be taken down. But these bold lines, Ice Cube sets the tone. They're unapologetically from a marginalized community that the system wants to ignore or incarcerate, and that's very clear through the context of this album. So, there are many different authorial choices. The first one that I'd like to point out is the aggressive delivery and street level language, because each of the members of the NWA delivered their verses with such raw, raw energy. Phrases like, when I'm called off, I got a sawed off, squeeze the trigger, and the bodies are hauled off. Like, you don't particularly see that in today's rap, where it's more emotionally vulnerable and trying to create meaning. These details, they really reinforce their street authenticity. Because they're not exaggerating. They're reporting, they're actively confessing to what they live through, what they see every day, possibly what they do every day. The soundtrack, which is probably mainly produced by Dr. Dre, because of we know if you guys know, Dr. Dre has a really extensive track record. He's one of the most popular producers of all time, and Dr. Dre's intense and funk sample beat with sirens and deep bass, they simulate a police chase, and this evokes this constant surveillance that Black communities have faced throughout the years. Sirens are particularly and stereotypically a symbolic um, sound of police intrusion. Heavy synths, they could represent a backdrop of emotional weight. And there's also this call and response vocals. Callers, you can hear civilian citizens calling, as well as the response by the police. This builds this tension that keeps building up throughout the song. And there is no metaphors. There are no metaphors in. Sorry for the unfortunate cut, but like I said before, NWA, Straight Outta Compton, there are zero metaphors involved. There are no filters, it's just raw and emotional testimony. You too, boy, if you mess with me, the police are gonna have to come and get me. And these direct threats reveal a confrontation with authority, not bravado. So, what does what could this song contribute globally? You might think that a very profane song like this, it wouldn't really have that much of an effect on the world, but it really was the anthem of the Black community in the 1980s. This song is a manifesto against police targeting of Black youth, and this song exposes a reality echoed in countries around the world, as it's an early cultural indictment of the stop and frisk practices in the US. And globally, it resonates with communities facing militarized policing in countries like India, Brazil, UK, and beyond. Its message is that oppressed communities deserve dignity and justice. Another thing, NWA invented the sound of gangster rap, turning what was labeled deviant into this cultural currency. And by giving voice to the dangerous other, they forced the mainstream audiences to pay attention to them. This demonstrates this culture's power to challenge dominant narratives, and which is a universal lesson in self-representation as well as narrative control. And of course, there's the empowerment. NWA flips ghetto from insult to disbandage of pride. Straight out of Compton, another crazy ass N-word. Their own space, their own history, their own pain. And this speaks worldwide to marginalized communities reclaiming identity, whether it's through language, art, or politics. It's incredibly powerful. So, we're going to move on to the next song, and where I mentioned about, this song has, of course, they're going to be talking about police brutality, police racism. The next song that we're going to listen to, which is probably the one of the most popular songs of this album, it probably is the most popular song of this album. It's F the Police. Let's listen. So, I've just finished listening to F the Police by NWA. And, of course, like every other song that's in this album, it's mainly the same. Uh, what I think about it, it's very profane, it's extremely aggressive, but, yeah, there is definitely meaning to this song, so let's get into it. So, mainly, the authorial choices of this album are the same. Um, NWA, of course, all six of the members use the same voice, the same language. They're incredibly aggressive and profane, and of course, they're intentionally using it to shock listeners and to convey their anger. Their raw tone reflects their frustration and lived experiences of Black African Americans facing systemic racism. uh, the very famous opening to the song F the Police coming straight from the underground. A young N word got it bad because I'm brown. And this explicitly draws a connection between race and over policing, which is a very bold and powerful statement or authorial choice that forces listeners to confront racial injustice. So, one of the authorial choices that I've seen in this is that each rapper takes on a witness role, which represents different aspects of police brutality and racial profiling. And this is something called multiplicity, where in this case it gives multiple different perspectives, and in this song it gives depth and emphasizes that the experience of injustice is widespread and it isn't isolated, and it isn't just put in this niche particular community, but it's seen by almost everyone. Well, except for the people who care, which are well the people who don't care, which are the police and the people who still believe in that systemic racism and oppression. So, uh, the global significance that I've seen from this is that it's really this song really serves its purpose as a commentary on racial profiling and police brutality. The song critiques the systemic racism embedded in law enforcement, an issue that continues to be relevant globally. A line from the song: "I'm a sniper with a hell of a scope, taking out a cop or two, they can't cope with me." And this is some form of imagery, which is incredibly violent. And it's a metaphorical way of expressing resistance and not literal intent. Although it may be literal intent, as I've mentioned before, that there barely are any actual metaphors in using this song, and this may be lived experiences from each of the members of NWA, but it serves to underline how powerless the community feels when it's faced with injustice. It Again, it has the empowerment aspect of marginalized voices, and by loudly com- condemning condemning abuse by authorities, the song empowers future generations of artists and activists to speak out against institutional oppression. Maybe not in the way that we see today, but NWA did use their very profane and aggressive language to shock people, just so that listeners are aware of their condition. So, that's F the Police, another incredibly powerful song, and I'm pretty sure it has changed the world in some way, as black communities are no longer seen as this inferior race where police just rule over them. Next, we're going to go on to the next song, which is Gangsta Gangsta. Gangsta Gangsta? Oh well. Let's hope you enjoy it. Hey everyone, I've just finished listening to Gangsta Gangsta, the third song that we've listened to today, and I'd like to apologize for my lack of opinions on this one. Usually, I ask my co-host Moreno, but like I said, Moreno isn't here, and I'm less. I don't really like giving my own opinions out, but uh, yeah, I do enjoy the more analysis aspect of this podcast. Although it is fun, it is also some fun to share, like if I dislike or like the song, with my co-host. But let's just get right into the analysis part of this song. Um, One of the particularly different aspects is the narrative duality in this song, and I think it's a juxtaposition between glamorization and the critique of the gangster life. So, in this song, NWA uses this first person narrative to immerse the listener in the life of a gangsta, which is a slang term from the 1980s black community, where I don't know, it's a corny way saying it today in today's world, where like I wouldn't say gangsters don't exist anymore. They still do, but like they've just been put in this spotlight where uh, it's kind of cringe. But back in the day, gangsters were truly feared. That in itself sounded so cringe. So they portray both the highs and the dangers of a life in Compton, and the song simultaneously glorifies the aspect of street life, while it also reveals its destructive consequences. Here's a line. It's kind of iconic, but life ain't nothing but sorry, B words and money, because I'm the type of N word that's built to last. And this line glorifies wealth and power, which is a recurring theme in gangsta rap. However, it reflects how marginalized youth may define success in absence of opportunity. Again, this song is mainly a focus on juxtaposition and irony. And because while the verses seem to boast about violence and street dominance, the chaotic tone and continuous threats also serve as this really subtle critique of a system that has normalized this lifestyle. Again, another line: Do I look like a mother effing role model to a kid looking up to me? Life ain't nothing but B words and money. Ice Cube explicitly says that he's not a role model. This emphasizes that his behavior is shaped by his environment, which is not ideal for imitation, but just for examination. And really, another one, another authorial choice, which is, of course, uh, used in almost every song, is the use of brutal honesty and just the shock value, where they use intentionally explicit language and detailed accounts of crime, sex, and violence to force the listener to confront reality rather than shy away from it. Again, another quote. So if you're at a show in the front row, I'm gonna call you a B word or a dirty ass hoe. And through offensive, this line isn't mindless provocation. It exposes a culture where misogyny and aggression is normalized, it's dehumanized, prompting critical dialogue. So, uh, I think the main thing that I see and the main thing that I can learn from this song is that NWA really brings alight the situation in the black community, where this song gives voices to these communities ignored by mainstream media and policymakers. It paints this very vivid picture of what happens when institutional neglect, racism, and poverty converge in a community. You can't trust it, so don't even try to talk to the police. They'll just slap your ass and tell you to lie. This reflects this widespread distrust in law enforcement, not just in the US, but it also shows in marginalized communities worldwide, especially in lower class areas where kids are forced to learn from their environment, and this causes to act the way they do. They're aggressive, they're violent. And I think that NWA does a great job in bringing that light. So, uh, next song that we're going to be listening to, oh, there's a lot. Um, we're going to be listening to "Express Yourself." I've never listened to this song, but I uh, I didn't expect a song title like this to be in a gangster rap album. But let's listen to it. Three, two, one. To be honest, if you first listen to this song's instrumental, you probably think that it would be some happy-go-lucky song that would play in an animated movie. But after listening to the lyrics, of course, yeah, you'd be surprised that came from a gangsta. Well, you wouldn't be surprised that this came from a gangsta rap album. So, Express Yourself, another song from NWA, with its primary vocalist being Dr. J, who is of course, is the main producer of these songs. So, let's get the authorial choices done quickly. First, tone and delivery. But unlike many other tracks in Straight Outta Compton, Express Yourself has a more upbeat and almost celebratory tone. Dr. Dre delivers his verses with clarity and conviction. He's more radio friendly. He takes this more radio friendly approach that really contrasts sharply with the group's usually aggressive tone. And this conscious decision mirrors the song's message of personal freedom. Here's a line that I really like from the song. I'm expressing with my full capabilities, and now I'm living in correctional facilities. The juxtaposition between creative freedom and institutional repression is immediate. The tone is confident, but it's also reflective. And this suggests that Dr. Dre is using his voice and platform in defiance of the constraints that have been imposed onto him. So, another thing is Dr. Dre has made the intentional choice not to curse on this track. This was radical for a group known for its explicit lyrics and aggressive tone. It supports the song's message that one doesn't have to conform to negative stereotypes in order to be powerful or expressive. Here's another thing. Here's another line. I don't smoke weed or cess because it's known to give another brain. Because, okay, sorry, let me redo that. I don't smoke weed or cess because it's known to give a brother brain damage. This line breaks from the norm, especially in the late 80s rap, which challenges expectations and promotes self control. Um, so the global significance, I think what I see is the empowerment through art. The core message of express yourself encourages people, especially people with marginalized voices, to speak their truth, unfiltered and unapologetically. Again, the main chorus: express yourself, don't repress yourself. In a world where systemic forces often silence or marginalize people, especially black youth, this is a rallying cry for liberation. And yeah, I think that's all that I need to say from this song. It truly is unexpected coming from a really profane group such as NWA. But of course, yeah, I'm sure that they've had a lot of fun making this song, especially since in the 50 million view YouTube music video for the song, they all seem to be having fun. So, we're going to move on to the next song in this album, which is I Ain't the One. Let's listen. Hey everyone, I just finished listening to I Ain't the One, and it's more like a similar case to Express Yourself, where, police sounds and the typical authorial choices used by NWA isn't, um, isn't really that prominent in this song. Uh, well, I Ain't the One is, it's mainly consisting of Ice Cube. Uh, it's, it's an interesting song where it really does sound happy go lucky. So, I Ain't the One is written and performed by Ice Cube, and this song brings a really confrontational response to romantic relationships that are driven by materialism and manipulation. So, Ice Cube takes this this perspective as a player, and players are usually gangsters with who play on women and use their money to just keep them around. It really does this this player role really reinforces that materialistic view. But enough about that. Ice Cube is not here to take that role just to, have fun with it. No. He flips that role and reasserts control in an environment where power dynamics and relationships are under constant tension. So, the conversational structure and tone of this song really differentiates it from the rest of the album. The song is structured like a dialogue where Ice Cube responds to the imagined comments or expectations of a woman. His tone is sarcastic, it's dismissive, and it really emphasizes the dominance and disinterest that a typical player would have. You want something that's uncut and rolling. I got something that's big and soaring. I can see why Moreno didn't want to review this album. But by structuring it as a rebuttal, Ice Cube positions himself as someone who refuses to be used, which is subverting the typical rap tropes of men chasing women for sex or validation. Again, Ice Cube is really strong for his wordplay and his writing. Uh, Ice Cube's wordplay is confrontational and clever. It's laced with double meanings and punchlines that serve both as an entertainment. It serves both as entertainment as well as critique. His sharp rhymes expose perceived hypocrisy. So, here's a line: "You want a sucker with the clout? Ain't no doubt in my mind. You got your head up, baby, and I'm not blind." This verse plays on a perception and uh again. This verse plays on perception and reality, and it claims that while the woman may pretend otherwise, her intentions are incredibly obvious. The next is the minimalistic beat. The beat is stripped down, which lets Ice Cube's lyrics take center stage. By leaving this repetitive beat where it doesn't really change that much, it shifts the focus onto Ice Cube's lyrics. His flow is calm, but is confident, almost mocking, which enhances the feeling that he's in control of the conversation. There's no hooks, there are no verses, and the song is completely just him. Just pure Ice Cube verses, which keeps the focus on the message over the melody. And another thing is that Ice Cube speaks in AAVE, which is African American Vernacular English, reflecting the language of his community and reinforcing its authenticity. Here's a verse from the song: "Now I can kiss my behind, cause I'm through with ya." It's a very powerful final verse. It's dismissive, it's final, and it reclaims emotional power in a culture where men are often expected to be the users and not the used. So, um, I think that this song has brought alive the concept of relationships in a material world. At its heart, the song is about authenticity versus materialism in relationships. Ice Cube rejects being valued for his wealth or fame, which is a sentiment shared globally by people navigating relationships shaped by social class, economic status, or reputation. His line, "You want a man with money, but them brothers don't give a F," exposes how hollow such desires are and how they often result in emotional emptiness. This message challenges listeners. Do we value people for who they are or what they are? Ladies and gentlemen, we're at the end of this podcast because we're going to listen to the final song, Something Like That. Are you ready? Let's go. Hey everyone, I've just finished listening to Something Like That. And, the artist, uh, NWA, they really they really made an amazing song to end off the album. So let's just get into it. Um, I think that the song serves extremely well as the closing to this podcast episode because it really just brings out everyone from NWA because every artist contributed to this song. So let's go with let's just go with the flow and let's look at the authorial choices. First, let's talk about the aggressive tone and flow. Of course, Ice Cube opens up with his confidence. "I'm the type of N word that's built to last. If you're effing with me, I'll put a foot in your ass." And the straightforward rhyme scheme paired with a really hard-hitting delivery establishes dominance and fearlessness. Their lyrical confidence is a reflection of life in that hostile environment where all of the members of NWA grew up in, where assertiveness is often a tool for survival. Next is the back and forth verses, which is a group dynamic authoritative choice. The track switches between Ice Cube and MC Ren, which showcases the group's unity and collective identity. This creates a cipher-like feel, which emphasizes their shared experiences and brotherhood and liberation and rebellion. Next, there's also the braggadocio and wordplay. MC Ren raps not from the old school or from the new, applaud and hell yeah, we're gonna get to you. They bridge eras and they assert their unique voice. This shows that they're not just confined by genre conventions, but just raw and unapologetic storytelling. And despite being seen as a filler track to some, something like that offers an important commentary when examined through this broader cultural lens. Here's some global significances that I found. Well, not found, but I think I can see for myself, is that this song is a celebration of black identity and talent. They used this song to remind the world of their skill and influence as black artists who created something revolutionary. Their brash confidence isn't just ego, it's an act of reclaiming space in a world that tried to silence them. You can't deal with this. Those that try are on my shoot list? I can't tell, it's censored here. But this assertiveness serves as empowerment, especially for marginalized communities that are told to be quiet or polite to gain acceptance. And finally, it also, well, not finally, it defies stereotypes and institutional limits. Because while other tracks solely focus on social and police injustice, this track builds the mythos around NWA as this unstoppable force in hip hop. And in doing so, it shows that young people, especially the marginalized voices of the black youth, that confidence and authenticity can be tools of resistance. Their precise wordplay is used as a weapon of cultural expression. And finally, of course, encouraging authenticity in art. And by not sanitizing their voices, NWA opens the door for future generations of artists to express their raw truths, something that continues to resonate globally. The track might not offer a clear solution, but it asserts that being real is radical, and art doesn't have to be palatable to matter. So, uh, that's it for today's episode of Lyrics That Matter. Yeah, I hope that with my explanation and justification, however much of a stretch they may be, you can see that NWA isn't just this profane rap group, but it's truly a strong act of resistance and rebellion. So, what do I think of the album? Well, I've listened to F the Police a few times. In fact, it's probably my most listened to song in this album specifically. I don't listen to NWA that much, or maybe even at all, except for F the Police. But um, I think it serves as a uh, really powerful album. So, with the tracks that I've listened to today, I think that I can rate it a solid 7 out of 10. I enjoyed listening to really adrenaline boosting songs, and well, this album is no different to the ones that I love to listen to. So, well, I wouldn't say no different, but you know, that's the end of today's This is the end of today's rap music podcast, and remember, even in profane, aggressive, and violent albums such as Straight Out of Compton, you can find lyrics that do matter. Sorry. But yeah, that's the end of today's episode. Thank you very much.